Hello, and welcome to another edition of the Simp to Pimp podcast. This is your host, Max, and here I'm going to go in and try to explain the course a little bit better. We have a new book or a new philosophy I want to introduce to the class today. This comes from the Book of Future. This, of course, I chose one of his most famous verses. He's well known, a philosopher, a notable genius of the arts, a notable just absolute cat daddy of a fucking pimp. I'll just get right into it. He goes for this is from his iconic Jumpman speech. She was trying to join the team. I told her, wait. Chicken wings and fries. We do not go on dates. Now just sit back and take that in. That is just a phenomenal approach to this whole idea of individualism that many people have lost in this simping nation. We have, on one hand, he's already so independent himself. He's attracting these dependent women that are trying to ask to join his team, his roster, his unit of just extraordinary men. So he doesn't go in and say, no, yes, oh yeah, we got to think about it. He just said, wait. One thing to notice here, he's answering short. He's giving short answers here. The key is to never say too much, and he's known this since the beginning. Once you say too much on a subject, you're exposing your chance and giving an opportunity for you to make a mistake and make yourself just look stupid. So he goes with a simple short answer, wait. That's all he had to say there. And then he does end up getting her some food, nourishing her, making sure that she's fed and in the mood for what's to come. So he goes and gives her chicken wings and fries, but he wants her to understand that we're not going on dates. Dates is just such a highly colloquialized term these days. People are just so into putting labels on something that doesn't need to have labels on it right now. So he has to make sure and tell her, we don't go on dates, as to make sure that this isn't destructive. This what's happening isn't going to be spelled out and explode later into his face. Now, I chose this particular this genius, this person of his caliber, because we're trying to diversify. We're trying to get as many different takes into this pimping life as we can. This is to make sure that we get we see the whole spectrum. We're going in for more than one direction. We're understanding all the different types and pick and choose what you actually want to take home to the heart with you. If you just go with one guy, if you're just choosing one guy that's gonna be your savior, and we find out his flaws, and it doesn't work for you because one guy's 6'2" and you're just a 5'5" wimpling, it's sometimes the demeanor takes you can't just have that intimidation factor that some may be relying on, or you may be needing to be trying to funny bone your way in to a bone. Another important thing to note here is who you want to attract. It's the type of pimp you want to be, because there's obviously more than one type of pimp that you could become. So we have this. There's obviously way more in this speech. I just wanted a quick insert into it, because it's obviously so talked about and has generationally changed the era of the game when this line was dropped, when he was just at the peak, when there were no worries. What I read was part of was the verse, but I think the book was actually something like "What a Time to Be Alive" or something like that. And so there's obviously way more gems in that time period to look into. This quote is obviously just a dissection into what was so genius and so proliferating for that time, and what we can grab from it and learn from it maybe. Obviously, there's plenty of other people to choose from as well. And we're gonna be diving into a lot of geniuses here. It won't be just one, two. I'll be counting like LeBron at Miami with all these saviors we're going through. But there's other important things to look at too. Notice at that time Future goes with the chicken wings and fries, we don't go on dates, as just a subtle hint, and maybe even a knock to these other rappers that have always been bragging about, oh yes, I bought her a boat, I bought her a car, got a Lamborghini so I can get that teeny eensy bikini off, or whatever the hell these fucking these false prophets have been trying to spew and steer into the ear of the young and exposable men. So there's ways to get around it. You don't just see it in Twitter or just simple simping places. It's not like I'm going out diving in looking at these simping posts. It's everywhere. It's colored, painted, tainted, freaking thrown around, spitted all throughout the freaking atmosphere here. And you just do not need this at a time so desperate as this. Now, another thing that needs to be noted with this man, this transcender, I like to call him, is his straight tenacity. He's known for more than just his music. He's known for, popping pussies because they're not on watch. They're not watching their pimpan. They're not getting where it needs to go. He goes and breaks up marriages from people like Spike Lee or some shit like that. This Future is game on game. He's trying to keep it at such a high level. He's trying to keep this pimp game at such a high level. He's trying to just make sure everybody's in line and keep going in line till it's sharper and sharper and sharper. You can't just be like, oh, this is good enough. He knows that you got to keep changing the game. You got to always be unpredictable. In a time where there's so much predictability, so much to read into, so much to think about, there's so much that he has exposed to himself. He's put out so many great hits, so much music, so many pictures of him online, and yet he still keeps changing the game, making sure that nobody actually knows his next move. And you can read that into his just his little excerpt I read. Chicken wings and fries, we don't go on dates. It's a complete oxymoron to people who don't understand anything. But this is actually just, well, it is technically an oxymoron, but it's not just an oxymoron. It's a military saying almost. It's like oh, my greatest strength is leadership and attention to detail. Oh, what are your greatest weaknesses? Also leadership and attention to detail, because I'm always working on it. It's just something. It's a quick little idiom to help understand. And if you don't understand, if you just sleep through it, if you sleep through that small little line he tried to help you with, you miss all these other brilliant points that he's putting onto the table, showing life as it is. He understands so much more than just a typical person. Now, of course, this is a new segment I'm bringing in, is the drawbacks of these different techniques. Future is also very into the training of women. He loves the shared meat at the table approach. He's got the, if you get what I'm saying, he's got the if somebody asks him, I just saw this the other month, if somebody asks him, hey, you can come hit it, he's like, what about the squad? The whole squad's got to eat. So this is a man, you may think that he's selfish, or he's only looking out for himself, but he's also looking out for the team, which you don't see a lot in today's social media self-perception time period. Just more to think about, more for you to digest as we go deeper into these pimp talks. There's a lot of leveling up to do, and there's a lot to study. There's so much to know and understand from these times and these people. Of course, this is the second podcast, and I have released the Dr. Black Phillip, and this is, of course, Future. These are only quotes. I'll bring back, obviously, more dialogue from these transcenders. But these are the two that we've covered so far in these lectures. So be sure to subscribe and like this podcast if you are a fan, and if you've learned anything. Tell me if you've picked up anything and how successful your journey has become from these podcasts. I'd love to hear turnaround stories from the simp to the pimp and the evolution that happens with that. Thank you, and please try to get in contact with me. Maybe leave a comment and let me know. Let me know how this all plays out for you.